Welcome back to the Real Bio Protocol. Cold open 24%. That's not a typo. That's not a marketing gimmick. That's the amount of total body weight lost in clinical trials by participants taking a peptide that most people have never heard of. We're talking about people losing a quarter of their entire body mass. And while the mainstream media keeps running stories about Ozempic shortages and Wegovy waiting lists, there's a molecule working its way through FDA trials right now that makes those drugs look like warm-up acts. It's called Retatrutide, and the pharmaceutical industry is absolutely terrified of what happens when the public finds out what this compound actually does. Here's what they're not telling you. While you've been hearing about GLP-1 agonists for the past 2 years, researchers have quietly been developing something that doesn't just activate one receptor, not 2 receptors, 3. A triple-agonist peptide that simultaneously manipulates 3 different hormonal pathways that control hunger, fat storage, and metabolic rate. The obesity treatment paradigm is about to get flipped on its head, and the underground biohacking community, they've already figured out how to access it. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on everything. The mechanism, the protocol, the dangers nobody wants to talk about, and why Big Pharma is racing to get this to market before the research chemical suppliers completely disrupt their business model. Buckle up. This one's going to rewrite everything you thought you knew about weight loss. ACT1, the problem. Let's talk about the lie you've been sold for decades. The fitness industry, the diet industry, the medical establishment, they've all been feeding you the same recycled garbage since the 1980s. Eat less. Move more. It's a calorie equation. If you're overweight, you lack discipline. You lack willpower. The system isn't broken, you are. And you believed it. We all believed it. Because that's what the experts kept saying over and over, until it became accepted truth. But here's what those same experts conveniently ignored. Obesity rates have tripled since 1975. Tripled. Despite more gym memberships than ever. Despite more diet books than ever. Despite an entire wellness industry worth over $4 trillion globally. If calories in, calories out was really the whole story, we wouldn't be looking at a worldwide obesity epidemic that the World Health Organization now classifies as one of the greatest public health threats of the 21st century. The truth? The game was rigged from the start. Your body doesn't want to lose fat. Evolution spent millions of years programming you to hold on to energy reserves because famine was always around the corner. Your hormones, your hunger signals, your metabolic rate. They're all designed to fight against sustained weight loss. That's why 95% of people who lose weight through traditional dieting gain it all back within 5 years. 95%. That's not a failure of willpower. That's biology doing exactly what it evolved to do. So what did the pharmaceutical industry give us? Drugs that made you jittery. Drugs that destroyed your heart valves. Drugs that gave you uncontrollable oily discharge. Remember fen-phen. Remember Meridia. Remember Ali? The history of weight loss pharmaceuticals is a graveyard of dangerous side effects and marginal results. Then came the GLP-1 revolution. Semaglutide, tirzepatide. Suddenly, we had drugs that actually worked by manipulating the hormonal systems that control hunger. And the results were real. 15%, sometimes 17% body weight reduction in clinical trials. People who had struggled their entire lives were finally seeing the scale move. But here's the problem nobody talks about. These drugs are expensive. We're talking $1,000 to $1,500 per month without insurance. The supply can't meet demand. There are waiting lists months long. And the pharmaceutical companies, they're making billions while people ration their doses or turn to compounding pharmacies of questionable quality. Meanwhile, something better was already in development. Something that makes semaglutide look like a first draft. And the industry knew about it. They just weren't in a hurry to tell you. Why would they be? They're still squeezing every dollar out of the current generation of drugs. ACT2, the hidden truth. In July 2023, researchers from Eli Lilly published results in the New England Journal of Medicine that should have been front-page news everywhere. A Phase 2 clinical trial of a compound called Li 3,437,943, now known as Retatrutide, showed weight loss results that made the entire pharmaceutical industry do a double take. At the highest dose, participants lost an average of 24.2% of their body weight over 48 weeks. Let me put that in perspective. If you weigh 250 pounds, that's losing 60 pounds in less than a year. Not through surgery, not through starvation, through a once-weekly injection that fundamentally reprograms how your body processes energy. But that's not even the most interesting part. The trial also showed that 100% of participants on the highest dose lost at least 5% of their body weight. 100%. In pharmaceutical research, you almost never see numbers like that. There's always non-responders. There's always people for whom the drug just doesn't work, not with Retatrutide. Everyone responded. So what makes this peptide different from Ozempic or Mounjaro? It's all about the receptors. Semaglutide, the active ingredient in Ozempic and Wegovy, is a GLP-1 receptor agonist. It activates one hormonal pathway. Tirzepatide, found in Mounjaro and Zepbound, is a dual agonist. It activates both GLP-1 and GIP receptors. Two pathways. Better results. Retatrutide activates 3, GLP-1, GIP, and the glucagon receptor. That third receptor is the game changer. And the fact that they got it to work without killing people, that's the scientific breakthrough nobody's talking about. See, glucagon has always been considered too dangerous to include in weight loss drugs. Glucagon raises blood sugar. It increases energy expenditure by telling your liver to release stored glucose. In diabetic patients, messing with glucagon was considered playing with fire. But the researchers at Lilly figured out the ratio. They balanced the glucagon activation with the GLP-1 and GIP effects in a way that amplifies fat burning while keeping blood sugar stable. The glucagon component increases your metabolic rate. Your body literally burns more calories at rest. Meanwhile, the GLP-1 crushes your appetite, and the GIP improves how your body responds to insulin, preventing the metabolic chaos that glucagon alone would cause. 3 systems, 1 molecule, 24% body weight loss. And here's the part that should make you furious. This data has been public for over a year. But unless you're reading research journals or following underground biohacking forums, you probably never heard about it. The mainstream media ran a few stories when the results dropped, then went right back to talking about Ozempic like it was still the gold standard. They buried the lead. And now you know why. ACT3, the mechanism. Let's get into the science. Because if you're going to understand why Retatrutide works so dramatically, you need to understand what's actually happening inside your body. First, the GLP-1 component. GLP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. Despite the confusing name, it does something very different from glucagon itself. When GLP-1 receptors in your brain are activated, particularly in the hypothalamus and brainstem, you experience a profound reduction in appetite. Food becomes less interesting. The constant background noise of hunger that many people live with just quiets down. But GLP-1 does more than just suppress appetite. It slows gastric emptying, meaning food stays in your stomach longer. You feel full faster and stay full longer. It also improves insulin secretion in response to meals, which helps keep blood sugar stable and prevents the crashes that trigger cravings. Now layer on the GIP component. GIP stands for glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide. For years, researchers thought GIP was part of the obesity problem because it seemed to promote fat storage. But newer research has completely flipped that understanding. When GIP is activated alongside GLP-1, it actually enhances the weight loss effects. It improves insulin sensitivity in fat tissue, helps regulate lipid metabolism, and may even have direct effects on the brain that reduce food intake. The combination of GLP-1 and GIP is what makes tirzepatide work so well. But Retatrutide adds the third piece of the puzzle, glucagon receptor activation. This is where things get wild. When glucagon receptors are activated, your liver starts breaking down glycogen and releasing glucose into the bloodstream. But more importantly for weight loss, glucagon activation increases thermogenesis. Your body ramps up energy expenditure. You burn more calories just existing. Studies have shown that glucagon receptor agonism can increase resting metabolic rate by as much as 20%. Think about what that means. You're eating less because GLP-1 is crushing your appetite. Your body is processing nutrients more efficiently because GIP is optimizing insulin response. And on top of all that, your metabolic furnace is burning hotter because glucagon is telling your cells to release and oxidize stored energy. 3 mechanisms, working simultaneously, synergistically amplifying each other. The lipid panels from the Retatrutide trials tell the story. Participants saw massive reductions in triglycerides, improvements in HDL cholesterol, the kind of metabolic improvements that usually require extreme lifestyle interventions. And here's something the headlines didn't mention. The trial data also showed improvements in liver fat content. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which affects roughly 25% of the global population and is directly linked to metabolic syndrome, showed significant improvement in Retatrutide users. This isn't just a weight loss drug, it's a metabolic reset button. The peptide is constructed using amino acid modifications that extend its half-life to roughly 6 days, allowing for once-weekly dosing. The molecular engineering required to balance 3 receptor activations while maintaining safety and efficacy represents years of research and billions of dollars in development. This is genuinely breakthrough pharmacology. And it's almost here. ACT4 real-world application. Now let's talk about what you actually came here for. The protocol. Let me be absolutely clear. Retatrutide is not FDA approved. It's currently in phase 3 clinical trials, with results expected sometime in 2025 or 2026. If everything goes smoothly, we might see it on the market by 2027 under a brand name that Lilly hasn't announced yet. But you already knew that, and you also know that peptide research chemical suppliers have been synthesizing and selling retatrutide for research purposes since the phase 2 data dropped. The underground community has been running their own experiments, and the protocols they've developed are circulating in forums, subreddits, and private Discord servers. Here's what the community has figured out through trial and error. Starting dose matters enormously. The clinical trial used doses ranging from 1 mg to 12 mg weekly, with the highest weight loss seen at the 12 mg dose. But jumping straight to 12 mg is a recipe for brutal side effects: nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. The GI effects of triple-agonist peptides are no joke. The underground protocol that seems to minimize side effects while still producing results. Start at 2 mg weekly for the first 4 weeks. This allows your GI system to adapt. Then titrate up by 2 mg every 4 weeks. 2 mg, then 4 mg, then 6 mg, then 8 mg. Most users report that side effects diminish significantly after the first 2 to 3 weeks at each dose level. Some users have found that splitting doses helps with tolerability. Instead of 1 8 mg injection weekly, they'll do 2 4 mg injections spaced 3 or 4 days apart. This smooths out the hormonal effects and reduces the severity of appetite suppression symptoms. Injection site matters too. Subcutaneous injection in the abdomen, rotating sites to prevent lipodystrophy. Some users report better absorption with thigh injections, but this is anecdotal. The timing question, morning or evening. The community is split. Some prefer morning injection because the appetite suppression aligns with daytime eating windows. Others prefer evening because any nausea effects occur during sleep. Experiment and find what works for your physiology. Diet during protocol use. You still need to eat. The appetite suppression can be so profound that some users barely consume 800 calories a day. This is a mistake. Extreme caloric restriction accelerates muscle loss and can crash your metabolism. Aim for at least 1,200 to 1,500 calories daily, prioritizing protein intake at 1 gram per pound of lean body mass to preserve muscle tissue. Resistance training is non-negotiable. Without it, a significant portion of weight lost will be muscle. The studies showed that GLP-1 agonist users lose approximately 40% lean mass and 60% fat mass. That ratio improves dramatically with strength training. Lift heavy, maintain the muscle. Monitoring requirements. Liver enzymes, lipid panel, fasting glucose and HbA1c should be checked before starting and every 8 to 12 weeks during use. Any pancreatic symptoms, severe abdominal pain radiating to the back, require immediate discontinuation and medical evaluation. The GLP-1 class carries warnings about pancreatitis risk, and this applies to retatrutide as well. One more consideration the forums don't emphasize enough: gallbladder complications. Rapid weight loss of any kind increases gallstone risk. Users have reported gallbladder attacks requiring surgery after aggressive retatrutide protocols. Stay hydrated. Consider ursodiol prophylaxis if you have risk factors. This information is for educational purposes. What you do with it is your responsibility. ACT5, the bigger picture. Let's zoom out for a minute, because this story is about more than just one peptide. We're living through a revolution in metabolic medicine. For the first time in human history, we have pharmaceutical tools that can genuinely reverse obesity at scale. Not manage it, not treat symptoms, actually reverse it. And the question you should be asking is, why did it take so long? The obesity epidemic has been raging for 40 years. The science on hormonal hunger regulation has been understood for decades. We knew that appetite wasn't just about willpower. We knew that ghrelin and leptin and insulin and GLP-1 were pulling strings behind the scenes. And yet, for most of that time, the best advice the medical establishment could offer was, eat less and exercise more. Was it ignorance? Partially. But it was also economics. There's no money in telling people the truth about metabolic hormones. There's enormous money in selling diet books, gym memberships, meal replacements, and surgical interventions. The weight loss industry made $254 billion last year. An industry built on repeat customers, built on failure. Now that paradigm is crumbling, and the gatekeepers are scrambling. Retatrutide represents what happens when science finally catches up with biology. When we stop blaming individuals for systemic failures and start engineering solutions that actually work. 24% average body weight loss. That's not incremental progress. That's a categorical shift in what's possible. But here's the real question. Who gets access? These drugs are expensive. They'll remain expensive as long as pharmaceutical companies control supply. Millions of people who could benefit will be priced out. Meanwhile, those with resources, the biohackers, the optimization obsessives, the wealthy, will find ways to access them regardless. Information asymmetry is the real battleground. The more people understand about what's available, what's coming, and how it works, the harder it becomes to gatekeep progress. That's why channels like this exist. That's why communities form to share protocols and experiences, not to replace medical supervision, but to democratize knowledge that was never supposed to be public. The science is out there. They just don't want you finding it. That's why we're here. This is the Real Bio Protocol.